And we keep things rolling here on the Sports Cubicle. I'm your host, Mike Mercado, joined with the one and only Paul Chivari, the best producer in the game. And we are here on the Sports Cubicle, WCPT 820 AM and WSBC 1240 AM, Chicago Heartland Signal. And Paulie, this is one of the conversations that you and I really get into the weaves of. It's the dorky, nerdy conversation of inside sports business, television, the things that we love, whether it's Saturday Night Live during their 50th anniversary to the NBA All-Star Game, the Four Nations. Everything is a product out there. Everything is inventory. And one of the biggest commodities in live sports is Major League Baseball. And when you think about Major League Baseball, you think of Sunday Night Baseball for the most part.
You could.
It's usually, and for me growing up back in the days, it was Fox Saturdays. That was one of the big highlights of Major League Baseball.
But before you go further, though, nowadays, what do you think of when you think national baseball, when you think a nationally televised game?
I still go ESPN, but I think there's always the back of my head as a Cub fan, knowing about Marquee, you as a White Sox fan, CHSN, Apple Television, NBC, Peacock. You think of all these different places, including Sunday Night Baseball.
Well,
so
it's so saturated nowadays that it didn't have the feel that it used to, where there was Fox Saturday Baseball or ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. And before you kind of, give us the lead here and give us what this is all about. Nowadays, I think as far as national broadcasts, I think about Apple's Friday Night Baseball, even though it's not as accessible as, over-the-air television like Fox or popular cable television like ESPN. So what's the big story?
So this is coming to us from Sportico by Jacob Feldman. Going, gone. ESPN, MLB, opt-out, portends industry changes. So it's everything we love about this, the changing industry, sports, how we're going to consume it. Major League Baseball and ESPN announced Thursday that their national television deal would be cut short after this season, with baseball rights now on the market for the following 3 years. In a letter to owners, first published by The Athletic, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred specifically cited, quote, new broadcast and or streaming platforms as the ideal next home for marquee rights, including Sunday Night Baseball, the Home Run Derby, and wild card playoff matchups. ESPN leadership informed the league Thursday morning that it intended to opt out, according to a person with knowledge of the situation. As Sportico reported, ESPN had been discussing renegotiating its terms of a deal first signed in 2021. While the network scored a 5-year ratings high of 1.5 million average viewers on Sunday nights in 2024, the Disney-owned network was either looking to add inventory to its package or lower its $550 million annual fee to the league. And I will wrap it up with this one. Since the start of the latest ESPN tie-up, MLB has signed smaller deals with streamers, Apple and Roku, for a combined $95 million annually. It briefly offered certain games on YouTube from 2019 to 2022 as well. Quote, ESPN has approached us with a desire to reduce the amount they pay for MLB content over the remainder of the term, Manfred wrote in his letter. Publicly and privately, ESPN has pointed to lower rights fees paid by Apple and Roku in their deal with MLB. We believe arguments based on the Apple and Roku deals are inept, and we have rejected ESPN's aggressive effort to reduce rights fees for several reasons, end quote, from the commissioner. In a statement, ESPN said it remains open to working with MLB in future years as the company launches a new direct-to-consumer streaming service this fall. There has been talk of potentially including certain local or out-of-market games in the offering. And there's so much to go into. I suggest checking out the entire article over on Sportico by Jacob Feldman. Going, gone. ESPN, MLB, opt-out, portends industry changes. So it's no secret internationally, the most popular sport in the world is soccer. And it's no secret nationally, the most popular sport is football. So football controls the entire planet. Right now, we're seeing a lot of different industries, corporations, billionaires worried of who could take second place. And when you see a deal like this, where ESPN is all in on its hockey coverage because that's the new deal that they made, and they're seeing competitors pay X amount of money, it shouldn't be a shock that they're looking for a deal, because they understand the next deal that they have with the NBA or The NFL is going to cost them an arm and a leg. Even if you want to cite ratings for the NBA, that's always going to go up and up and up. So I find it really interesting how willing they were to opt out and almost playing chicken with Major League Baseball and its owners to say, go find a better deal. What do you think?
I think ESPN never really pushed baseball. You know, you were just saying how they're going all in with their hockey coverage. And it's like, well, where was this with the baseball coverage? It's been known throughout just baseball fans, you know, that really follow through with this, that ESPN never really pushed the product like they did in other ways. I don't know ESPN's approach, why they do what they do. I think the first question would be, though, is Sunday night really that much of an entity where we need to continue with Sunday night baseball? Because that's a travel time. That, you know, that's a time where if you're not getting the ratings that you need to on a Sunday night from something like that, then do away with it. Find a new time to do a game of the week. Like I was saying earlier, Friday works pretty well with Apple. Roku has the Sunday morning, which they're taking over from Peacock from a couple of years ago. So you got to find a new one. Is it Sunday night? Is it Saturday? Can you work with Fox on something? But now that ESPN's getting out of it, who knows if they're even going to go right back into it, even though they could renegotiate and whatever. Now, juxtapose it with the NBA worked out a deal a few months ago, and that's changing the landscape of how we consume NBA basketball. You don't have anybody opting out of that so far. We'll see where that goes. It's still a little early, but baseball's been relatively unchanged over the years, even in the newest agreement, regardless of the regional issues, you know, with Bally Sports when they went bankrupt and all the different, you know, kind of changes within that sort of industry. So baseball, I think, you know, you're talking about second place. Baseball may finally be losing in the Q rating in the eyeballs, and we'll see what this change is going to bring. You're always going to have baseball fans, but how far are they willing to go out of their way to watch it? Does Apple have success? Because you have to be an Apple TV subscriber or Apple Plus subscriber in order to get that, versus Roku. You don't need to do anything other than go to Roku. If you have Roku, that's great because it's a channel that's automatically there. If you don't have Roku, you can just go online, watch it. It's free. That's better than what Peacock was offering, because that you still had to have at least a subscription with that. So it'll be interesting to see where they go with this and how accessible they make it. I like this in the sense that I didn't think ESPN was really giving 100%. I really think their broadcasts were mediocre. I think it's gone downhill. They don't do Sunday night baseball anymore. That romanticism that was around Sunday night baseball and ESPN baseball from 1990 till maybe like the late aughts is gone. Yeah, probably like I like it was more like 2005, 2006. I felt like was a real peak, but like we'll say the 2010s. That was probably about the cutoff where I think like it's the product has gone downhill since
even
then.
The 2K games existed back then, and they were the ESPN brand before. It was big time. Like it was the popular brand before the show, and everything else kind of evolved from it.
I think I saw recently that they're billing that Joe Buck is going to call his first baseball game in a while when he's doing Yankees Brewers on opening day. Cool. Yeah, whatever. You know, like you've had the guy on the network for how many years and you never thought
to use him?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I get that Joe probably didn't want to be the Sunday night baseball guy and they don't do enough broadcasts, but maybe you could have creatively found a day with him in the middle, like a Wednesday night or a Thursday night, and make that must watch baseball every week, because Fox has been doing that. I don't know if you know this, but there's been over the air Thursday night baseball games in like September with Fox. And it's like, I think this year I saw it was like Rays and Orioles, you know, and it's like, how is that appealing to somebody in Chicago? It's not, but I loved it. I mean, even though I don't have to watch it, I could watch those games anyway.
For the diehards.
It kept me from watching on MLB TV, but it's nice to have free over the air baseball. So I'm really curious to see what happens with it. At the very least, I think it's sad that partnership is ending, but I'm not big on the home run derby. I don't care for Sunday night baseball unless it's like, you know, a decent matchup. And the wild card being on ESPN and not on the other channels that would have it later is kind of annoying. So good riddance.
And it really goes to show, you mentioned it, over the air television is huge, and is why the stranglehold of the NFL being able to afford just being on CBS, NBC and Fox is such a commodity to have in your portfolio. But we want to know your thoughts. What do you think? Leave a comment down below if you're watching us on the YouTube channel over at the Sports Cubicle. What do you think about this partnership ending between ESPN and Major League Baseball? And before we head out of baseball at the dugouts, before we head out of the field of dreams, if you will, we have to head into the Bronx. Here on the Sports Cubicle, I'm your host, Mike Mercado. He's the one and only Paul Chivari. And I don't know if you've watched Shave Those Sideburns from The Simpsons to everything in Seinfeld. One of the tropes is facial hair in New York City. Well, this comes to us from AP News. New York Yankees drop ban on beards 49 years after it was imposed by owner George Steinbrenner. Tampa, Florida. The New York Yankees dropped their ban on beards Friday, 49 years after it was imposed by owner George Steinbrenner, in a move aimed to improve player recruitment as the team tries to win its first World Series title since 2009. Current owner Hal Steinbrenner, son of the boss, announced the change Friday before the team's spring training opener. Quote, "My dad was in the military. He believed that a team should look in a disciplined manner," how Steinbrenner said during a news conference, flanked by general manager Brian Cashman. Quote, "Very important to my father, but again, for my father, nothing is more important than winning, and that's in the back of my mind." So check out the entire article over at AP News as New York Yankees drop ban on beards 49 years after it was imposed by owner George Steinbrenner. I mean,
it still has to be kempt, though. You know, you can't be rolling up looking like Charlie Blackmon or Jason Worth or whatever.
But like the whole thing is really the New York Yankees to simply care about anything other than adding number 28, 29, number 30 into your collection is shave those sideburns, don't have a mustache.
Okay, all right. Are you ready?
Go for it.
We used to be a country. Of course, this happened on Donald Trump's watch that the Yankees would drop their policy. It means something to be a Yankee. It's not just 1 out of 30 teams. It's the Yankees. The Yankees don't hire slouches. They don't need Alex Verdugo. They don't need Charlie Blackmon. You know, I get that Fernando Tatis puts a lot of work into the way that he looks, but you know what? Clean it up if you want to play in pinstripes. You know, there's a reason why Aaron Judge looked good. Mickey Mantle looked good. Billy Martin even looked good. Thurman Munson looked good as a Yankee. So I think that the Yankees are weak. I think that they're adhering to some policies. They're letting the public dictate how they feel about everything. I think if you're going to be a Yankee, be a Yankee. Clean it up. Now, Paul, you come in looking like you're unkempt and haven't shaved in a while and have grown out your hair. What if you worked for a company? Yeah, but I don't work for the Yankees, okay? And this company is not the Yankees. No offense, Heartland Signal. I still love you. But I think the Yankees are the Yankees, and only one team can get away with keeping this policy. I get that it's so outdated nowadays. Baseball players are known for looking unkempt and looking like a bunch of bums that you dragged off the streets, but it's the Yankees.
More on WCPT 820 AM, WSBC 1240 AM. It's the Sports Cubicle. I'm your host, Mike Mercado. He's Paul Chivari.